Welcome everybody to a Division 4 Group B matchup this week in Brazil. We have today Deep Thought and Edboris going up against each other. Currently, Deep Thought is in second place in the division, while Ed is in fifth. Very unfortunate to have lost his first game, isn't that right, Calamity?
Yeah, we've seen Deep Thought's game last week on air, and he did really well in that, but Edboris got an even better score and still didn't quite manage to pick up a win there, which is indeed unfortunate.
Yeah, as you can see, he had about a 600-point lead or so on Deep Thought in the first round, and almost a half as good. His total average kilometers off was half as good, which sounds weird to say, but twice as better. Maybe that's how I should say it.
Doesn't make
it's
it
a
better,
smaller number. It's a smaller number, but it's better. So, my brain. With only 2.7 total kilometers off in round one, while Deep Thought was a 6. Both players picking up an ace, so that's very nice. But yeah, Edboris just had a tougher opponent in week one, handing him the L. Going into this matchup, though, Calamity, who do you think is going to come out on top?
Well, Edboris has the advantage of being half Brazilian, so he is my personal favorite. It depends a bit on the rounds we get as well, I think, whether Deep Thought can compete with him. But I think for him, his main goal has to be damage limitation, trying to keep as close to Edboris in terms of score as possible.
Okay, that is a very significant part of the Reddit League. There are only, well, in Division 4 anyways, there's 8 people, so seven weeks.
Yes.
Right? So the kind of, what do you call it? The matchup, the total win-to-loss ratios, whatever. Standings, that's what I'm looking for. The standings don't have a lot of time to kind of separate players. So that skill and that score differential can really come into play, especially in those playoff pushes towards the end, when players could have the exact same standing, but only be separated by the points that they've managed to score in the league. So, definitely trying to not lose too many points is something to look forward to. With that, let's take a quick look at our map before we get into the game itself. We're on the Brazil map, as everybody is. It's created by Mapper. Average score is about 15,000. It hasn't been played too many times, but it is a very new map, relatively speaking, only being created about 2 months ago. But it does have over 2,000 hand-picked locations, again, to get rid of those really bad cameras and photospheres, to make it a little bit more interesting for players. So without further ado, let us jump right in to this matchup. And as we load in here, we see a very nice road.
Beautiful sunshine on the coast.
On the coast, which should be a big hint right away. There's one major national highway on the coast, correct?
There's one that I know of, which is BR-101, which I'm going to assume they're both gonna see right there on that blue
and they
side.
both just see it, exactly. Yeah.
But that is, I mean, it's not really helpful seeing that, considering, as you said, that is the only one pretty much that goes all along the coast of Brazil. So it doesn't really limit your options of where you could be.
Yeah, what I remember playing this seed myself, while the 101 stays very close to the coast, there's only a few places that it actually is right up against it where you could see it. So that does help you limit your location quite a bit, because it has to be one of those few places where it's actually on the coast. As we see Ed taking full advantage of some of that home territory, knowing exactly where that is on the map, a little bit further south.
I don't think Deepthought has found anything yet that would tell him the rough area of where we are beyond, just the road. I don't actually know what Ed has seen, if it was just something that he knows because he is partly Brazilian, or if it was something I missed, maybe a phone code, maybe a town that's recognizable.
Well, they both have seen either the sign or the actual, what I believe is the nuclear power plant in Brazil. And Ed just has it on screen there. If he would minimize his map, you could see it. So that's probably what he's using to pinpoint his location. There's only one in the country, so it's a pretty handy landmark. And Deepthought hasn't seen the actual building, but he has seen one or two signs with nuclear written on it. So, again, the home field advantage coming into play for Ed.
Ed's just found exactly where that nuclear power plant is on the map. So he should now be able to pinpoint where exactly he is. Well, Deepthought also just moved past the right area. It's gone a bit too far west now.
Yeah, but he is looking in the right kind of place. He knows he has to be very close to the ocean on some kind of cove or inlet. As the road kind of goes around it as you move. So
Ed's now found the right curve. He just needs to go onto the eastern side of it, and then he's good for 5,000 points.
Yeah,
there we go.
Probably should expect an ace out of him with still a whole minute to go. I believe Ed did play the other division seeds as well, and did very well on them with a smaller, shorter time limit.
I think he got 24,999 in one of the seeds. I don't quite remember which one it was. And he did really well on the other two seats as well.
Yeah, so the time limit won't be much of a worry for him in his own division.
Deepthought's still frantically trying to find that last piece of information that tells him the exact area where he is.
And that's the second time he's seen a sign for that nuclear plant. If he had the time, which he doesn't, with only about 10 seconds left, he could maybe scan this road looking for it close by. Oh, but you can see the coast, man. You should know better than to put us that far inland.
He's actually found it now.
Oh, a little bit lucky at the last second.
Right end,
my word. Yeah, right at the end there. But Ed does get that ace. But Deepthought not too far behind, 4,996. So only losing 4 points to that ace. Not a bad round by him. Maybe a bit of luck there at the end, Calamity?
Probably. I mean, once you know on which road you are and which area you have to look in, you're going to find that nuclear facility at some point. Probably that he found it with a couple of seconds to go was a bit lucky.
Yeah, helping him narrow down his searches and just maybe a little bit fortunate of a click for him there. And let us jump into round number 2. There we go, round number 2. And much more rural, so...
Good old middle of nowhere Brazil.
Yeah, but a couple signs with some what appear to be possibly town names at the start.
I wouldn't have any hope of finding those on the map, though.
Yeah, probably not. Oh, Ed does have a sign with a road and a kilometer marker, not an actual official sign, but looks like a farm sign.
Oh, Deepthought has just found a church. I don't know if there's actually a phone code on that. There might be, considering he's now zooming into the map, into roughly the right area.
It doesn't, but it does have the road, Brazil
Ah, that's what
364,
it
and
is.
a
Yeah.
kilometer marker. That's a really interesting thing to have on a sign, the kilometer marker on the road. I guess if you're in the
Mm.
middle of nowhere, there's nothing else to use.
Ed walked past the kilometer marker as well a couple of seconds ago, so they should both know which road they're on.
Oh,
And
and
deep, yeah, go on.
Deep Thought has just seen a sign for Rio Branco, right?
Mm-hmm.
A very prominent city. He's 60 kilometers or so to the north of it
Mm-hmm.
as he is looking south. So that should help him.
Yeah, now it depends on how able is he to judge how far 60 kilometers is there.
Oh,
But
he's just found
he's
the
seen
church,
the
though.
church. Yep. Good
Yeah.
job. As
The
usual,
road is pretty straight, so
Mhm.
that won't be too kind to the players, but
As usual, I also played these seeds, and the way Deep Thought did it is exactly the same way I got 5k on that seed. Uh, the one thing he'd still need to do is find the exact starting point. He is in luck that there is a small side road there, um, which is visible on the map. It just depends on whether he can find the right one.
looks like he's going to try to find that river close to where he thinks he is and see if that is indeed his location. It's a good thing you can do. You can kind of do a little bit of back and forth, right? If I'm here, there should be something like this to my north, and then move that way, check it out. And if there isn't, then you know you're probably in the wrong place or something. But
That's usually what I'd recommend doing if you think you've got the rough area down. And when I say rough area in this case, I mean maybe a kilometer either way. And there are things you can look out for. I mean, if you're on a straight road in the middle of nowhere and there are no roads or rivers, then I mean, out of luck anyway. But if you've got a couple of things,
Ed does see an area code,
yeah, 68.
which will finally get him to move to the map.
Gives him the right state.
Right state and the right road. I don't think he has seen the sign for the city, though, and as he puts us way far north.
Right at the end. No, I don't think he's seen the sign for Rio Branco either.
No, so actually Deep Thought here with a little bit of an advantage in information. And now Ed looking to the coast. I do not know what he's looking for.
Either I don't know, maybe he just isn't sure about whether he's got the right area, whether he knows the right area code.
Oh, and Deep Thought guessed early and jumped into the next round while we're looking at the other map. So let me zoom back a little bit. He does get that ace. Very nice. Looks like he was even closer than you were, Calamity.
Yeah, that's because the marker's at the wrong place. I'm kidding.
But yeah, so an ace for him, which means he won't drop any more points against Ed in this round at least, which is nice. But Ed does seem to be zooming in a little bit more accurately here, honing in on his location, slowly working his way south. But he has a long way to go. And with 3 seconds left, it's not going to be enough unless it's a random click. And no. Oh, wow. Way, way too far north.
Yeah,
for Ed.
The thing that he should have been doing there at that moment is checking the road direction, because he was placing himself at a point in the road where it was almost going straight west-east. I mean, it was going northwest, southeast, kind of, but relatively straight, whereas the actual road he was on was almost going north-south. Like, still, again, northwest, southeast, but much more towards a north-south road.
Yeah, indeed. But pretty much just bad luck for Ed, you think, Calamity, not seeing that city sign that gave Deep Thought the big advantage there?
Of course, it's bad luck in a sense, but he still could have put in a better guess even without seeing that. Is my opinion on it.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate for him. That's a huge advantage for Deep Thought heading into round number 3. I'll let Calamity do the math for you this time because I have an extraordinary record of doing math on air.
I mean,
By that I mean getting it wrong.
Deepfort lost 4 points in the first round, and Ed lost now 2,478. So he should be 2,474 points behind. Did I add the 4 in the right way or the wrong way? I don't know. Just continue the video and
we'll find out. 3, Deep Thought sitting at 9,996. Ed at 7,522.
Yeah, I got it the right way around.
And there you go. I should leave the math up to you from now on. But an urban location for round number 3. So both players will be hoping not to lose too many points. Ed does see right off the bat an area code. And as my timer goes off.
I was wondering what that was, yeah. Yeah, Ed does seem to know where that area code is, and I'm going to assume that Deepfort will find an area code as well if he keeps looking for long enough in that city. Regarding that last round as well, it might have been something along the lines of inexperience a bit there as well that cost Edboris there. Maybe just not thinking of checking the road direction properly.
And or maybe say that Deep Thought does see the area code, and he will zoom into the wrong part of the country. He's a little bit too far west. I believe that's the 9s, the 90 area codes area.
I was thinking, I think it's 92 a mappa, but I'm not sure. It's definitely not 86.
Yeah, that kind of hump in Brazil where it kind of takes that sharp turn north is a higher 90, I think. I always think it's 92, 93, but I think it's like 4 or 5.
4 is Roraima. 5 is Roraima, I mean. I'm not sure what 94 is.
But he has moved. Oh, I think he's found the city.
Not sure.
He's found a city. He seems pretty confident, at least enough to at least deceive me if he is wrong with that movement.
I could probably tell if he was... yes, that's the right city. I remember it. So he's probably, again, going to get a very good score here. He's got 2 minutes to pinpoint.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of time. He'll be looking to try to pick up his second ace here. Ed is zooming in on a completely different city.
He's right now standing in front of a sign with a couple of cities on it. I think Teresina is a pretty big city. I'm assuming he's taken some of that information to determine...
Oh, there's a good city name right there for him on that road sign.
Yeah.
PD. So he will look for that, and it's on his screen. Will he see it? Will he see it?
He probably will. He's got 1.5 minutes.
He's got 1.5 minutes, but it was right there. That is one thing that I learned playing this round was that a lot of Brazilian cities have their name on their street signs, at least in the more developed areas. So I was like, "Oh, this is actually pretty nice. I'll have to look for this in the future."
Yeah, as long as you're in a city that actually has street signs, which is not the majority.
True. But I think that's how I found this city in this round, was noticing that road sign. So just like Ed. So they are now both in the right city with about 45 seconds to go. We'll see how good they are at pinpointing their exact starting location. Look for them jumping back and forth to the starting location.
A general tip for that I can give people is, if it's a city like this that has a major road going through the middle of it, and it's not that big of a city, try and make your way from the starting point to the major road. Then you know which side of it you're on. And then when you're on the major road, make your way north or south towards a point that you are sure you can find on the map. That gives you like kind of north-south. How far do you have to go? And then it should be relatively easy from there.
Yeah, counting city blocks working your way backwards can be useful. Oh, and looks like they will both run out of time at the exact same time. Unfortunately, no ace, but very, very close. Deep Thought 4999, just a little bit of a hair's too far away, and not Deep Thought, and Ed 4998. So he'll lose a point. That's right, a single point to Deep Thought on that round. A little bit unfortunate for them, but maybe just if they had another 10, 15 seconds, they might have been able to get that ace. But as it stands, they'll just miss out on that.
Mm-hmm.
So a much better round 3 by both players. Unfortunately for Ed, though, doesn't give him a lot of space to make up time at all.
Yeah, it was a pretty easy round, though. So usually if you're in a middle-sized city, I would call it, in Brazil, you're not expecting to make up any points against your opponent.
Yes, so as we get into round number 4, Deep Thought still has a significant lead, and welcome to rural Brazil.
That's the kind of round you're expecting to make up points or lose them.
Yeah, this is his chance. If Ed wants to make up some ground, this is the kind of guess to do it. In this kind of round, what kind of strategy should the players be using? Nothing immediately around, very rural.
Travel as far as you can. Just
Okay.
Taking in every little bit of information that you see, but not spending too much time on it. Ed has actually found a truck there which has a couple of city names on the back, and he recognized Chiparana, I think, where he's put his marker to.
Yeah, most of them seem to be Western cities, but they both have now seen a national road sign and kilometer marker. So that will help them at least find the road. And it looks like Ed is sort of sure of the state he's in, as long as that truck isn't too misleading. But trucks can be horrible sources of information because they travel such a great distance.
Yeah, that's why I usually only use trucks really for determining which country I'm in. And maybe in a country like the US or even something like Peru, maybe where you lack other information, you can take a guess based on that if you have nothing else. But if you've got a lot of other information, they're not too trustworthy.
Yeah, in Europe, a few times trucks have cost me even the country because they've crossed the border, and this has to be a French truck, but no, it's in Italy, and it's like, what?
I would probably trust the clothing of a random stranger more than a truck in Europe.
Probably. Yeah, I think it happened with a top-level domain in Eastern Europe. It was in the wrong country, and I was really confused. I was seeing 2 different top-level domains, and I wasn't sure who to believe.
Not the truck is the right answer to that.
Yeah, exactly, not the truck. Deep Thought seems to be looking at a nice city name, maybe.
Yeah, he is in the right area where his marker is. Where he's looking currently is a bit far off. I don't know why he's looking over there, to be honest.
Maybe something sparked something in his brain that he thinks it's Eastern Brazil, but at least he's not confident enough to put down a marker, which is good.
They're both heading south at the moment. To give you my personal experiences again here, probably not the best direction to take there. There is a smaller city that you can find on the map as well if you were to be heading north. Don't actually know if there's anything to the south that they could find. Yeah,
if there's anything you can chalk up to luck in Geoguessr, it is just going the right direction. It's just unfortunate, like, I went 20 kilometers, 50 kilometers south, but the perfect sign was 5 kilometers north.
Yeah, right? Actually, recently at a round, maybe we'll talk about that after this round is over, but that's maybe a funny story where exactly that happened to me. But for now, they've still got 50 seconds. Ed is still looking in the right area. Deep Thought's trying to find more information that he probably won't find.
Yeah, reading a phone number. That will give him an area code, which should help him.
Gives him the exact area code that he's currently in.
Well, at least it prevents him from moving his marker, which is a good thing. And
Hopefully.
his video is buffering. Okay, we're back into it. Pardon the technical difficulties. But 10 seconds left. Looks like both players know the general area, but will be hard-pressed to have a decent score. Oh, Ed, a little bit lucky with that. And he did make up some points, and you jumped so fast on that one round. Of course you do.
Yeah, Padronal is the city I was talking about there a minute ago that they would have found if they had gone north. And it also stands out at quite a decent zoom level on the map.
Yeah, Ed with 4,749 points, 31 kilometers away. Deep Thought, 3,503 points, over 200 kilometers away. That's about 1,200 points he's made up on Deep Thought there. Calamity, not bad.
So anyway, about that little story I wanted to tell. I played a game recently in Romania where I was going towards the east 15 kilometers or so into the middle of nowhere and found a town with about 2,000 inhabitants finally, and actually managed to find that on the map. And then I tried pinpointing, went the other way, and 500 meters or so west of the starting point were major signs to a couple of big cities and a highway and everything.
Yeah. Them's the breaks for sure. Yeah. Okay, going into our final round here. Deep Thought still has about a 1,200 point lead. So, and it is a rural location. So again, this is the perfect place for Ed. He does need to make up those points, and this is the kind of location that he can do it in, especially with Deep Thought having some trouble moving with this camera.
Probably what you should be doing once you notice that you're having such trouble in a certain direction is just turn around and try the other direction.
Yeah, and pray to the Geoguessr gods that it isn't bad in both directions. Ed, Deep Thought, unfortunately, hitting a dead end.
Yep.
Which will mean he will have to go the other way, which Ed luckily has moved this direction.
Yeah, it is the better direction.
And he will find what any player with a decent score in this round will need. He'll find the major road, which will give him lots of good information. This is where I got all my information.
Yep, same.
Major road marker right there. Brazil 401. He already knew the state almost, but this will help him narrow that down.
Yeah. And that's going to be a lot of points for him. It's pretty much all the information you need on that round if you look closely
especially with
enough.
kilometer 15. He knows he's very close to the border.
He thinks he knows he's very close to the border. He isn't, but yeah.
He's 15 from the other border?
Yeah, he's
from the city.
15 from Boa Vista, from the city that the road starts at.
Yeah, Brazilian kilometer markers are not intuitive.
No,
for me at least, as a North American, it's not intuitive at all.
That being said, I don't find kilometer markers intuitive, no matter what.
Yeah.
I never really know from where I should start counting kilometers.
Deep Thought, though, seeing that same road sign, so he will know he's on 401 as well. I did get curious about that. Was there a standard way that mile markers or kilometer markers needed to be set? And in my short research, I found that it can vary as minutely as state to state within a country. So they're really something you can't learn for like all of America or all of Canada or all of Brazil in this case, unfortunately.
They also usually especially in Brazil, as we've found out so far, they don't really help you much.
Yeah, the states can be very big, and if you got like a 200-kilometer marker, it's really hard to judge how far away that is.
And in
So,
which of the 7 states the road runs through is it?
yeah. Yeah, don't in Brazil almost you want the state roads because that at least gives you that state abbreviation, which is a little bit more information than a national road gives you.
Yeah, yes and no, because yes, it does tell you the state. So if you don't find an area code, that's definitely good for that. The disadvantage with the state roads is that you have to zoom in very, very far to be able to see them on the map. So if you're in a big state, finding a state road can be very, very difficult.
Yeah, that is true, but at least if you're playing without any time limitations, it could be just spend the time scouring the map, but
yeah,
in a more competitive environment, not the best.
Doesn't look like Deep Thought knows where the 401 is.
About 20 seconds left. Deep Thought is nowhere close to it. He's actually really close to where I put my marker.
I saw that
in this round. So he's doing what I did. So I can't blame him too much. But Ed is really close to getting an ace in this one. So I think he's going to make the comeback for sure.
Yeah, he's not going to get an ace there, but he's close.
Oh, that is brutal for Deep Thought. 102 points. That you just hate to see that leading into the final round. But Brazil, the unkind mistress that she is, just will destroy Deep Thought with that final location. And Ed, 4,991 points. So not only will he take the win, but he will do so with a massive score differential of over 3,000 points. Probably let's see if these folks are nice enough to record their results screen. It looks like we did. Yeah, Deep Thought totaling at 18,600, but Ed getting 22,260.
3660 is the difference between the two.
Yeah, that's a very nice score differential for Ed. He'll be happy with that, and he'll be happy he put up good numbers in his sort of native country and on home soil. So yeah, Calamity, a crazy back and forth there.
Yeah, it was a very, very exciting match to watch. I think Deep Thought got a bit unlucky there in the end. The 401 in Brazil is a road that you just have to know. It's very short, pretty much only covering the distance between Boa Vista and the border to Guyana there. So, especially as well, since how you found out and Deep Thought had found out as well, the 402, the 403, and everything else that's close to that is in a completely different area.
Yeah, so that's why me and Deep Thought were over in that area of the country. We're counting numbers. Oh, there's 402, 403, 405. It's got to be here somewhere. And nope, it's not. It's very far away and very short. So it doesn't even appear on the map unless you're in that general region.
Yeah, there's one marker for it that appears, but it's very close to the Guyana border. So you can easily miss it while scanning the map for it.
Exactly. So very unfortunate there for Deep Thoughts to put up a very, very solid game, except for that final round of only 102 points. Both players picking up an ace, though. That'll be good for any eventual tiebreakers in the future, should it come to that. But Deep Thought will be kicking himself for being just a single point away from a second ace. Yeah, so let us look at their next matchups for week 3 in a rural world, our first global map. So Calamity.
In week 3, Edboris will be playing GRH77 or Geoguessr, depending on which name you went for. I'm not actually sure right now. And Deep Thought will be playing that one weird girl. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for either of them to win unless their opponents pull out a great score that they haven't done so far in the league. But we'll see. Maybe they can surprise us.
Yeah, you never know. The world map is a world map, so even if you are very good, one bad location can still cost you just as many points as a bad location in Brazil. So, it's always up for grabs every time. Nothing's ever written in stone until the game has been played. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. Both of those players are towards the bottom of the table. And Ed, with this result, will move himself towards the top. So these two players should be facing people quite a few places below them next week. So if the stats hold, they will pull out the W's next week. And yeah, we'll see you all next week in the world map of Rural World. Should be interesting to commentate on. Our first world map gives us a chance to show off our different languages and geography that we know. We already know the country going into the first 2 weeks, so it's not a whole lot to talk about in terms of those kinds of things. But in the world map, there is. So we'll see you all next week. Take care.
Bye.